Welcome to the Desert Lair Bar, episode 4. As you can see, I still have not got myself a lapel mic, unfortunately. Eventually, I guess, when I get tired of scooting around this thing to get in here, I'll fix that problem. We also rolled our barrel in there for our lamp to stand on, so that's cool. It's sort of the same height as our lamp over here. Somewhat, maybe a little taller-ish. Well, this is a series of first impressions. So we are trying to have a whiskey from every actively producing Scottish distillery which has an available standard bottling single malt with a little bit of flexibility in there. The idea is kind of to establish a baseline of distillery character and trying to help us figure out which distilleries maybe we want to explore a little more and which ones maybe we don't. There's a heavy emphasis on price to performance. It's pretty important these days. So we don't want that to be the be-all, end-all of how we judge and approach things, but it has to be at the forefront of what we're thinking about. So that being said, today we have Balvenie Doublewood 12-year-old. Balvenie Distillery, Speyside. Trying to visit all Speyside first, and then we'll move on from there. Balvenie Distillery is owned by William Grant and Sons. They're a family-owned distillery and have been since they began. So that's pretty cool. Keep it in the family. They own several other distilleries. Glenfiddich is one of the big ones. They also own Drambuie. A few distilleries in there. They pioneered the cask finish, so finishing a whiskey in a cask after it's been in another one in 1982. They do have a farm on site. It's kind of neat. They grow their own malt and malt barley on site. They probably use a fairly small portion, overall of their own malt, just because the amount of output they have to source from other places. They can't use all of their own. So again, Balvenie Doublewood 12 here. Matured primarily in bourbon, so probably first 11 years of its life. And then it's transferred to a sherry cask to be finished. The point of doing this, my assumption would be bourbon barrels are cheaper. Mature it in bourbon first, probably have less overall sherry casks. Dump it in a sherry cask for a few months to finish it and give it some of the fruitiness and nuttiness and other characteristics that you get from sherry barrels. And I'm sure they're reusing those sherry barrels probably quite a bit, right? They're not dumping stuff in there once, especially if it's only for a few months. They're dumping stuff in there probably 2, 3, 4, however many times before they then shave them and rechar them and rejuvenate them and start the process over again. This particular malt is 43% ABV. I want to say in the Euro market, it's 40% ABV. Maybe I'm wrong about that. This is chill filtered. It is not natural color. I bought this in June of 2024. I paid $47 for it. Pretty sure that was on sale. Probably, I want to say $11 off. So I got that on sale. Locally, you can get this for about $60, $59, and online it looks to be about the same. So say about $60 generally. Go ahead and give this a sniff here around my microphone. Earthy honey, pear, tea leaves. Taste. You get the typical Speyside fruitiness from this, and then some sour oak, orange marmalade, black tea, and then the honey and the toffee notes. On the finish, orange honey, some light chocolate, a little bit of maltiness, and maybe a tiny bit of cinnamon. So this is, I would say it's above an entry level, but it's a pretty standard, competent single malt. It's available probably just about everywhere at this point, I think. Pretty much every store I would go to, I think I can find this, bars, wherever. We'll go ahead and give this a score now. Get my chalkboard here. 81 out of 100. Again, this is a pretty standard single malt. It's competent in everything that it does. It's reasonably priced, a little more than your Glenfiddichs or your Glenlivets. I don't know that it really does anything for me that something else can't do, either cheaper and or better. So, I don't know that I would necessarily go out of my way to buy a bottle of this. Once we're done, we'll compare it, with probably everything else that we've tried in a large price to performance comparison of all these single malts. We'll get there eventually. In any event, hey, thanks for stopping by. See you next time.